Hey everyone, I'm Jason with Ignite and Grow Coaching. For over 26 years now, I've been helping people grow personally and professionally by coaching them on how to strengthen their mindset, discipline, and confidence. Today, I'm going to talk about something that has caused me a lot of unnecessary pain throughout my life. And it's the stories we tell ourselves. Now, before we get started, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been absolutely convinced you knew what someone else was thinking? Maybe you knew why they did something, or why they said something, why they didn't call, why they didn't invite you. You knew why they were acting differently. And then later you found out you were completely wrong. I know I have, in fact, more than once. And I think one of the biggest mistakes we make as human beings is believing that our assumptions are facts, when the reality is most of us are walking around with incomplete information. But our minds don't like that. So we start filling in the blanks. We create stories and then we react to those stories as if they're true, sometimes damaging relationships in the process. Now, don't get me wrong, there are absolutely times that our instincts are right. There are times when someone really is upset with us. Sometimes someone really is treating us poorly. But I've learned that before I jump to conclusions, it's usually worth asking myself, what if I'm wrong? Let me give you a few examples. So years ago, I had a business partner. We were close. We worked together regularly. In fact, I kind of counted this person as one of my best friends. We talked all the time. And then things started getting weird one day. Little things started happening. There were meetings where I was expected to be involved and suddenly someone else was handling them. Conversations felt different. The energy felt off. And then out of the blue one day, we're talking on the phone and the call just ends abruptly. I thought he hung up on me. And after that, our relationship completely dissolved. We didn't end up talking for about a year. And during that year, man, was I angry. I remember replaying everything in my head, and I had told myself stories about what I thought happened. And I convinced myself that I knew exactly what was going on. Eventually, I ended up getting tired of carrying around all that anger. And there's an old saying that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets hurt. So I realized that the only person being hurt by all this anger was me. So I called him and we got together. And when we started talking, I finally found out what the issue was. I learned that he thought I was trying to steal some of his business relationships. But I wasn't. I was trying to strengthen them. I believe that if people bond and build relationships, we work together better, especially during difficult times. And the funny thing is, if either he or I addressed his feelings, we could have avoided this whole thing. And as for the phone call, neither of us hung up on each other. I thought he hung up on me. He thought I hung up on him. The entire year, both of us were upset over stories that we had created in our own minds. Neither one of us knew the full story. Now, unfortunately, our relationship has never quite been the same after that, but it taught me an important lesson. Just because a story makes sense does not make it true. Years later, I had another experience. One of my favorite cousins stopped talking to me, and I had assumed it had something to do with a difficult season in my life. And honestly, it would have been really easy for me just to take it personally. It would have been really easy for me to be hurt. It would have been easy for me to say, you know what, she don't want to talk to me, I don't want to talk to her. But she meant a lot to me, and I loved her. So every couple of months, I would send her what I call a one-way message. And that's where, I would send her a goodwill text. No expectation of her responding. I just wanted to let her know that I was thinking about her and hoping she was doing okay. Eventually, she responded. And we ended up being able to make plans for her to come visit. We got to spend some good quality time together. And over the next few years, our relationship became stronger than it had ever been. And then I learned something. It turns out she wasn't ignoring me at all. She wasn't even upset with me. She wasn't avoiding me either. She was struggling herself. Not just with me, with everyone. She simply didn't have the emotional capacity to engage with people the way she normally would. And had I taken it personally, I would have lost one of the most meaningful relationships in my life. Then there was another cousin, someone I cared deeply about. She got married. And unfortunately, I wasn't invited. But then I learned that one of my favorite aunts had attended the wedding. And my first reaction was hurt. I started creating a story. Why wasn't I invited? Did I do something wrong? Was I being left out? Did she not care about me the way I cared about her? But instead of reacting, I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. I told myself she probably has her reasons. And eventually I did learn the truth. My aunt actually hadn't been specifically invited the way I had assumed. She was at the wedding because she had taken initiative to do something nice for my cousin. The situation was completely different than the story I had created originally in my head. And once again, I realized I had almost allowed assumptions to create pain that wasn't necessary. Now, here's what I've learned from all of this. Most of us think we're Sherlock Holmes. We're collecting clues, analyzing behavior, trying to figure out what everyone else is thinking. The problem is, Sherlock Holmes is fictional. And most of us are building our puzzle using pieces from a bunch of completely different puzzle boxes. We're missing information, we're making assumptions, and we're filling in the gaps with stories. Sometimes those stories are right, but many times they're not. And here's something else I've learned. The more we rely on other people for validation, acceptance, approval, the easier it is for us to take things personally. Because now every action feels like it means something about us. Every delay becomes a rejection. Every disagreement becomes criticism. Every silence becomes abandonment. But when we build our sense of worth from within, we become less reactive. We stop needing every situation to confirm our value. And that gives us space to be curious instead of defensive. Now, that doesn't mean we become naive either. It doesn't mean we ignore red flags. It doesn't mean we abandon our boundaries. Boundaries still matter. We still protect ourselves. We still walk away when necessary. But we can do that without hatred in our hearts. We can do that without creating villains out of the people we don't fully understand. Because the truth is, if we knew the entire story behind most people's behavior, it would probably look very different than what we had imagined. And even when someone is in the wrong, I would still rather think good thoughts about them and be wrong myself than think bad thoughts about them and be right. Because that approach creates more peace, more understanding, and better relationships. So the next time you find yourself creating a story about someone else's intentions, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? That one question might save a relationship. It might save you unnecessary pain. And it might help you to see a completely different story than the one you've been telling yourself. Hey, if this video helped you, do me a favor, like it and follow me for more. Please share this with someone who needs it. And if you're ready for coaching and you want help applying this to your life, visit igniteandgrowcoaching.com and book yourself a free discovery call. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, ignite your spark, grow your success. I can't wait to see you in the next video.